Wait, remember Spider Riders? First starting off as a book series that was then adapted into an anime series that is all about, yeah, you guessed it, spiders that are rideable. During the mid-2000s, there seemed to be shows like this popping up left and right, but it was how you differentiated yourself to stay in the mind of all the kids finding their next favorite thing to watch and obsess over, or become an adult and look back onto your childhood from nearly 20 years ago with nostalgia you didn't know you had until you see an image and go, oh yeah, Spider Riders, I remember that. So in this case, Spider Riders was something that has spun this little web of memories within my brain since the first time I saw it, giving me now the urge to go back and check it out, see everything this show really had to offer. I must relive how and why these anime-looking anime characters ride spiders. It's basically an isekai. It has a little bit of Digimon, a little bit of Ben 10, and a lot of bit of spiders. So let's take a bite out of Spider Riders. Count the amount of times I say spider in this video, and adventure to a land in the center of the earth. Spider Riders is exactly what it looks like you're going to get. Our main character we follow here is Hunter Steele. That is the most main character name I've ever heard, who thanks to his grandfather's old journal begins his search for this legendary inner world of our world. During his expedition, a strange device lands on his wrist called the manacle, as he eventually gets surprised and scared by a regular spider as he then falls through a hole that leads to the center of the earth, as one would naturally happen to accidentally fall in. But this place turns out to be the inner world, with the name of Arachna. That's on brand. Now being stuck in this world, he finds himself in the middle of whatever the heck is going on down there, quickly meeting these young warriors who fight back against the real evil of this world, the Invectids. Did I mention that just like every other anime or popular kids media that was similar, our main character is 11 years old, and the group that he joins up with are all young as well? And yeah, they have to stop all the evil to save the arachnid-filled world of Arachna, and they all ride spiders. Yeah, there are a bunch of unique 10-foot in size spiders that they ride. Can you understand where the show gets its name from now? Does it make sense to you? Good, I'm just checking. Of course, the show isn't complete without a prophecy that states someone from the surface world, or someone they call Earthens, will come to Arachna and cause disaster. But will it be the destruction of the Spider Riders and the natural way of life down there? Or would it be to those who seek destruction themselves and against the Spider Riders? It's a little trope-filled, but hey, what can you do, right? This era was filled with kids from somewhere else who is a savior of some sort or some legend of prophecy, as we meet some quirky characters along the way, get some interesting world lore and some sort of mechanic specific to the show, with the spiders that in fact they do ride being the big special selling point here. But my favorite part about the spiders is that they are these cool mechanical beings that can speak. And that's how we start this bonding connection of Hunter and his spider companion, Shadow, where once they do bond, he gets his cool outfit as well. So now we enter a world full of action, adventure, and mechanical creepy crawlers as a prophecy may unfold. A world needs to be saved, and spiders, oh you betcha they'll be ridden.
Up next, the elite warriors are on the loose in Spider Riders. You're watching an all-new Spider Riders here on Kids WB.
Spider Riders would start off as a series of books that started coming out in December of 2004, with the series of books being Shards of the Oracle, Reign of the Soul Eater, and Quest of the Earthen. Ted Anasty, Patsy Cameron Anasty, and Stephen D. Sullivan were the writers of the series, with New Market Press publishing the series. B-Train and Cookie Jar Entertainment would come in to adopt the series from pages and turn them to frames. Cookie Jar wanted to branch off a specific action-oriented branch of their own shows, with Spider Riders becoming the first series to be branched under Coliseum. And with the popularity for Spider Riders growing in the territories it would premiere first, being broadcast in Canada on Teletoon and TV Tokyo in Japan, but on June 17th, 2006, Spider Riders was coming to the US via Kids WB. Spider Riders was a big deal to everyone working on it. It was their biggest project at the time, but having someone like Koichi Mashimo, who knew how to direct and lead projects, was sure helpful, since he was the one who founded, ran as the CEO, and directed a lot of the projects for B-Train. They really wanted to roll out this show with style in the US, knowing that with the fan base growing in these other places, the US market should be a solid bet, working with syndication on Kids WB with special hour-long premiere blocks to eventually the following month getting a regular spot for new weekly episodes. Brand awareness was super important, so pumping out a lot of content to get a new audience interested would be the plan, and then pulled back to a dedicated dedicated release time so those people and hopeful new fans know when to tune in. Plus, it gives it a chance to catch up a bit with where the show is at in other territories. The next part of the US release was bringing access to an online Spider Riders game, where on the website you can log into this immersive online experience that would hope to bring a rich competitive environment, going under the term of MMOG. It's like an MMORPG minus the role-playing aspect, giving users all over the world a chance to play the game with international access. By November of 2006, the game would see around 1 million signups and even winning a silver level award from the W3 Awards, which is a web design and marketing competition award that was by invitation only and judged by the International Academy of the Visual Arts. To receive the award it did, it beat out around 2,300 other entries from around the world. Now the show in general for me is a lot of fun. I think the lore is pretty cool and the spider concept definitely is really enjoyable, but there are some things that hold the show back greatly, and a few of them are specific to the English version that I watched. While the voice acting comes off in a less than convincing way, I feel this was more so the fault of the script and any sort of direction the voice actors were given. While there isn't this problem every minute of every episode, it is something prevalent throughout the entire series, with it really being more noticeable during important story beat moments, more emotional scenes, and moments that should have had more tension filled into them. But again, I just love the look of this show. Yeah, it can blend in a bit to the other anime out there at the time, but the outfits that the Spider Riders have and the spiders themselves really have the standout factor that makes me want to watch the series and collect a lot of toys if they would produce toys for it. Why didn't they make action figures for the show? It was supposed to be part of the plan apparently. The series was popular enough and had plenty of episodes. Why didn't action figures come out right away? Something to think about there. With Arachna itself, the world was a lot of fun to explore, especially when understanding the conflicts that involve really cool characters and creatures with designs that really stood out, all backed by a well-paced narrative that is perfect for what this show was to keep you returning for the next episode. While the dialogue can be a struggle sometimes, the characters themselves are genuinely pretty fun to follow along with. Hunter, voiced by Julie Lemieux, is an interesting enough main character that has that talking to yourself, slow to pick up on what's going on, but determined to save the day pro-tag energy that you'd expect to see here. He already has this adventurous side to him thanks to how we meet him at the start of the series. He is brave, sometimes he gets scared of spiders, but to be fair, who isn't? I just hear the person typing now. Hey Jordan, I'm not scared of spiders. I love spiders. Every time I see a spider, I pick it up, pet it, and even give it a kiss on the head. Go ahead, finish typing it, post your comment. You good? All right, let's continue on. Throughout the series, he is able to become this brave warrior that stands with the Spider Riders as they battle the Invectids, taking him from this more goofball attitude into a more strategic mindset, especially with his relationship to Shadow, voiced by Joseph Mutiki, where at first, once they do bond and start fighting together as partners, he really viewed this mecha spider as a tool and a weapon more so than a reliable companion. Shadow is clearly a bit pushbacky on Hunter due to his mistrust of humans and wasn't really looking to be tamed. Personality-wise, I enjoy his character probably the most, seeing him go from being walled off to more open and caring towards Hunter, and even taking the time to develop traits from Hunter, like his goofball ways. But it's not just all about them, of course, we have the other Spider Riders that we meet, like Corona, voiced by Stacy DePass, who brings a charming and lighter side to a tough and powerful Spider Rider. Her and Hunter build this relationship from early on to where later in the series it becomes a more prominent thing, maybe to just have some sort of romance plot in general, but with her feeling like the second string right behind this lead, I enjoy what she brought to the show, along with her spider Venus, voiced by Carolee Larson, who is more reserved and quiet in comparison to Shadow, but don't make the mistake of counting out her power. Igneous, voiced by Tim Hamaguchi, is the other main Shadow Rider that we focus on, and he's the tougher, more ego-fueled character that judges you if you don't live up to the efficiency he believes to have, making him a harder character to like overall, but at least we have different personalities floating around through the show, which adds a level of comedy to the fact that his spider, Flame, is voiced by no one because he doesn't talk and he just stares at you menacingly. Other riders of the spiders that we meet are characters like Magma, a more lone spider rider that has a lot of brute force as we see the lore of the world building out, with it having its own royalty hierarchy as well, with the spider riders that are specifically in the Arachna military reporting to this prince of the land, Prince Lumen, as we also meet his sister, Princess Sparkle. And within this world, there are things called oracle keys that draw in this oracle power through these cards that can effectively be used in giving these upgrades or new abilities, and all you have to do is say a catchphrase. That's so cliche, but it's perfect. Beyond this, for the story, however, we have to touch touch on the Invectids and the whole conflict between them and the Spider Riders. Of course, it is mainly over resources like food within the land, but we don't only see it from the Spider Riders being the good guys' point of view, and that's really all thanks to Akune, voiced by Allison Court, a Spider Rider herself that was captured by the Invectids and had her mind re-altered to stand with them and their fight. But she has this deep care for everything living in general, not ever pushing the boundaries past where they need to be if in a conflict, and seeing the struggles of both sides out. She's a real interesting character that adds a lot to the story, more so than many of the other characters because of her position in everything. It helps set a different tone for the situations at hand. The leader of the Invectid, Lord Mantid, voiced by Lawrence Bain, is really just this looming presence throughout the show, never really being this menacing force outside of a conversation, until the end of the series. In the meantime, he has his big four underlings do his bidding: Buggies, Grasshop, Stags, and B-Rain. These four have a larger arc in their characters throughout the show, since we spend more time with them over the main big bad. Buggies becomes the show's rival for Hunter. Grasshop is a funny character that is pretty interesting. Stag is a bloodthirsty warrior who always is looking for a great fight that he wants to solo. And B-Rain is sadly just kind of there, not really having too much of a personality for their time on screen. And that really brings me to my last personal gripe with the show, which is them not building up Lord Mantid more. Like, the whole concept of a master villain in the shadows until the end is fine, and it does work enough, but giving the villain a chance to be more involved to build up his threat, rather than having him be unassuming, is a risk with the character that I think would have worked better here if they had him more involved. But it wasn't something that made or broke the show. Speaking of the show, what would come of it? After having a lot of faith in the franchise before it started and trying to expand it a little bit beyond that, where did Spider Riders go?
Spider Riders, all new today at 10:30 on Kids WB.
So, unfortunately, Spider Riders was not the big hit franchise that Cookie Jar and their working partners thought it would be. I mean, they still produced something really cool and had a great global launch in the different territories it did premiere in, but with not enough brand awareness and a limiting of certain expansions outside of the show, Spider Riders didn't get the exposure it could have had, leaving it to have a waning interest as the show went on, and really, the lack of marketing beyond its launch really didn't do much in the way of helping the series grow, or at the bare minimum, stay afloat. Without any plans being fleshed out and acted upon, the property was unable to find this wider audience, leading to the show coming to an end after 2 seasons with 52 episodes, which is par for the course for an average length show. But it just felt like they wanted to have more ambition with continuing it, but never getting the chance to fully do so. While only starting off as a book series, the show would also produce a web-based manga series through TV Tokyo's affiliate website, with Junji Ono illustrating the 7 volumes published. The Monthly Fang, another comic site, would later adopt the manga over there, adding in 2 new chapters to boot, but thanks to them going to paper print from online, the manga was taken offline at the time. Aside from that, nothing else really came from Spider Riders. Despite the MMOG from their website, the only other video games would be a series of 3 2006 cell phone games in Japan releasing for 105 yen each. So it's interesting that no full-fledged larger game or even something like a Nintendo DS game were released. Cookie Jar's senior president of digital media at the time, Ken Locker, wanted this to be an all-encompassing franchise, immerse Spider Riders within both the online gaming and wireless world. I wish this was implemented further when it came to things like I mentioned earlier, action figures. Honestly, I feel that Spider Riders is a well-crafted anime that deserved a bit more attention than it initially received, at least for longevity's sake. The world building, characters, and storyline were all highlighted strengths for me that kept me engaged, and while sure, it did have its flaws with the tonal direction the voice acting was taken, and some of the tropes were very predictable, I still found it a fun and engaging show. Like I said, sadly it did come to an end. It fell short of where it wanted to be as a franchise, but also failed to connect enough with audiences ongoing, leading to less viewership and support heading into the 2nd season of the show. On its own, Spider Riders was pretty cool. I do like the setting and the ideas that we see in the series, so I would love to know what you think about the show. Were you a fan of Spider Riders? How many times did I say spider in this video? And let me know all your thoughts in the comments section below. Thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe. Later.